Recording. All right, it is 6:30 on August 28th. And I call the meeting of the Public Works Committee to order. So our first item on the agenda is the minutes from our last meeting. Does anyone have any amendments to the minute that they would like made?
Charles, I don't have an amendment, but I did note, I thought we said we were going to consider the Conservancy Lands Committee appointment at this meeting. And they've already met this month, so it's fine, but I just want to make sure that doesn't get.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we'll have a full committee for that appointment.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that we'll have a full committee prior to their next meeting. So are there any corrections to the minutes?
I wasn't here, so. No.
Right, I have none. Alder Nairo, did you want that inserted into item number 2, appointment?
No.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right, in that case, I accept the minutes as accurate, and let's move on to agenda item number 2, Lake Street and Dewey Street reconstruction agreement for design engineering and bid services. All right. So we have Sean's memo. And Eric, if you'd like to walk us through, if you.
Yeah, so we invited 3 consultants. We received 2 bids, both by good firms. The
I'm sorry,
MSA
I object to the term bids.
proposals.
Thank you.
Sorry. Both from very qualified firms that we've got a lot of experience working with. The price of the MSA proposal was significantly less than the Strand proposal, and I think that's what the recommendation is based on. So Sean has recommended accepting MSA's proposal and recommending it to finance and council. And also reallocation of some funding from the Franklin Street project to this project to cover a significant difference in fees from what we had budgeted for originally.
And the new proposals take into account all the designs that were discussed in the redesign of the lakefront, or is this just street and water?
No, it includes the park.
Okay.
At the lakeside, which, as I understand it, is kind of a minimal park compared to a lot of the things that were discussed by the various committees.
I wondered about the park because you're right, there was a big difference in the cost of these 2 proposals. MSA estimates $9,000 for the Lake Street Park design compared to $40,000 for Strand. And I'm wondering, and sorry to ask you, Eric, because I know this is Sean's, but any idea what's up with that?
Not entirely.
Okay.
I mean, the consultants are free to interpret the request for proposals as they see fit, and that was the lion's share of the difference in the cost.
I did want to say, this is John Sloan. I am with Strand Associates. I'm sorry I'm speaking up, but I'm here if you did have any questions. So I know Sean's not here and he might not know who I am. So just wanted to let you know who I am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
You weren't on finance last year, right?
I was.
Okay.
So any concerns about,
Transferring from a budget standpoint.
No. I did note that project schedule on page 15 of the package shows January 22, 2024 for a meeting, but the final design will be ready in December. But we need a budget estimate for October. Like for construction.
Page 18 on the agenda packet, yeah.
Yeah, it says MSA will provide cost estimates for the construction of the project at the later stage of preliminary design. Well, I guess that's October 20 is their end date. As necessary for the 2024 city budget, so.
And that's construction services. They really don't probably have a handle on that until they get into final design.
Mhm.
It really depends upon that. What we provide for services. And what the city wants at that point too. Depending upon what their staff is capable of doing. So I will, we recommend and pass it on to council and finance committee. For review and approval.
I will second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
And this is the motion
For MSA.
for MSA, okay.
I'm sorry.
And,
Let's make that clear.
and may we add at a cost not to exceed 80,978.75.
Sure.
Sean has a pre-written
Oh,
motion if you'd
Yeah.
like me to read that.
Fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's,
Committee recommend to Finance Committee and Common Council to enter into an agreement with MSA, et cetera, for design and bidding services for this project at a cost not to exceed $80,978.75 per their submitted proposal, contingent upon city attorney satisfaction of the pending agreement form to be based on the city's standard template, and contingent upon the Finance Committee and Common Council approving a budget transfer to allocate sufficient funds for the project design and bid.
So move.
Second.
so we have we've substituted that as the amendment. Okay, great.
and it's understood that this, and it's understood, and I hope it'll go to council saying this project instead of that, saying the Lake Street and Dewey Court reconstruction project.
Sorry?
The long motion just said this project. Didn't I?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Hearing none opposed, carries. Oh, next on the agenda,
think, I'm sorry, I think we also need, don't we need a recommendation from this committee to do the budget transfer?
That
Was
was
that part-
included in that.
That was included in the motion.
That is included in the motion, please.
Yeah,
Well, but it wasn't really a recommendation, it was contingent upon council doing it. So, I mean, I'm fine not having a motion, but it seems like we always have a motion, or finance committee always gets the transfer separate from the actual project. Does that make sense?
I didn't notice that.
but that does make sense, and if this would be
Okay.
helpful for you as the finance committee chair to have that. Please make a motion for the recommendation and
I move that we recommend to finance and the council a budget transfer of $65,000 from capital fund account 412-533-8005 to account 412-533-6005. And those names for reference are the Franklin Avenue reconstruction design to the Lake Street reconstruction design.
All right.
Okay.
all in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Hearing none opposed. Fall newsletter. So there's a enclosed draft of the fall newsletter. Think Eric, you sent around an additional proposal from the Sustainability Committee that they requested to incorporate
You want me
into
to show that?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm curious
please.
why. Shouldn't that be something that, I mean, it's, first of all, how many people actually read this newsletter? Second of all, that just seems like a big chest thumping advertising campaign. And if we're going to include that, then we should state what the added costs were and what the life cycle costing stated as a payback
And what it's being used for.
and what it's being used
I
for.
mean, it just says it's water utility department. It looks like a normal sedan to me. I don't
Yeah.
understand the benefit to public works of a sedan, but
Well, I'm
Some
sure they need
explanation.
one, but I mean, you could have used one of those cute little bus things that, you know, your campus uses to
Yeah.
drive around for a lot less money. Unless this thing actually has a function
yeah.
beyond just driving around checking meters and well sites.
It's really the utility manager's vehicle.
Okay,
So as assigned, it's not gonna see a lot of mileage.
sure. Makes the payback even longer. Dan, because this says absolutely nothing about that. And nothing about, you know, it's great. I think it's beautiful that we want all renewable energy by 2040. Waiting for that new pig digester on the south side, not the north side. But that's going to cost the community more in their taxes, I would assume. And that's not been addressed at all that I can see.
Well, I would say we don't know that we can assume it's gonna cost more because the life cycle cost should be lower in terms of maintenance, definitely for fuel.
And
But also the same people whose taxes are going up they're the ones who came up with the 100%, you know, the idea of investing more in climate action.
sure,
So I don't see any harm putting it in there. I think. I think if we do keep it in, it should specify that we're talking about the city's goal of 2040 for 100% of energy needs. That is city operations. It's not all of Middleton. I think it's something to celebrate because this is our first EV. And I'm actually surprised there hasn't been a press release about it.
well, that's where I think it should be, is a press release.
Remind me about that.
I think there will be a press
Okay, and
release
next year when they buy the pickup truck as well.
that I can't speak for, but I would assume there'll be a separate press release
Mhm.
regarding the purchase of this vehicle soon.
In that case, shouldn't we have the language more in sync with what the future press release is?
I like that idea.
Than just winging it and talk about its function within the utility?
That was one of my questions about this document in general. Has Brent looked through it? Did he work on it? Or is this something that came, I know in the past, it's always come straight out of Public Works. So I was just wondering how
I
much.
think this has come straight out of Public Works again, and Brent has probably.
Pretty much hasn't changed from year to year to year to year. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I take that back. It changes every year. But not by slate.
I did double check to make the 7 cubic yards were in there and it was 2 meetings ago. I was like, oh, they made it.
Eric, do you know when this will go out?
Well, it needs to go out relatively soon, so if you're saying you want to wait for after a press release and then just to include this EV paragraph, that might cause trouble. I mean, it's just to lay out leaf collection, basically.
Yeah, I would not hold off on the newsletter to insert this.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed. When I proposed making sure that we sync up the language, I was thinking the same person who's going to be editing this is going to be writing the press release. But
My question too, and I apologize that I can't pull it up right now because my Wi-Fi is down. Usually we're pretty much at the end of the page limit for the packet too. Does this add an extra page in, or is there space to just stick it in?
It's now purely electronic, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, but when you're pulling up a PDF and you're thumbing through, I don't know, it seems kind of an afterthought to just stick an extra page on the PDF. I know it's nothing big, but it's, I don't know.
It's 8 pages long.
Oh, but there's
That's the
room.
last page.
Yeah,
I
And,
mean, it could always be reformatted to be,
yeah, but I wouldn't want to spend
Smaller.
time.
and there's a spring one too, correct?
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I'll save my rain barrel comment for spring. And I would also, Kendra brings up a good point. Now that we have a communications director, it would be great if the spring one could be coordinated with him early on, because I'm sure he'll have some ideas for making it, reader friendly.
Yeah,
Not that this one is not, but he's the expert. One thing I do think could be added is, well, actually two things on page 29 of the packet, if you can go there. And it's related to the brush, the change in the brush policy. So it doesn't make it clear that like if you click on the link to go to the policy on the website, I think it's actually 2 clicks to get to the policy on the website. You read that material for collection must be placed on terrace areas within the street right of way within an extension of the property owner's property lines. In other words, put it in front of your house, which is a non-engineering way of saying that. I think our newsletter should say that, because I know in my neighborhood, our park or our drainage basin tends to be the place where people put their brush. And I think they do it because someone does it first, and then people maybe are trying to be helpful, like save the city from stopping at every single place. But it's important for people to know that's not where you put it.
yeah, and plain language is just better anyway.
Yeah. And then putting the brush in an orderly fashion parallel to the curb with all cut ends pointing to the right as you face the street. I don't think I've ever seen that. It's always sticking straight out towards the street.
Yeah,
so.
I've literally
But
never.
I don't think there's any way that they can like enforce that. I think just
Well-
recommended, like, please do it this way. So when they
Right.
pick it up, they can just do it as one motion into the truck.
Sure. No,
But-
I'm not saying for enforcement purposes. I'm just saying, I think people will want to do the right thing. Maybe people are so in the habit of doing what they do that they don't even bother, like Don said, they might not even read this. But I think if we can add, since we do have some brush collection rules, I think telling people, put it in front of your house and put your cut ends to the right. I think those would be good.
The primary purpose of that is so it doesn't drape across the sidewalk.
Yeah. Right.
So it's really personal safety more than anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fine. Plain language is fine. I totally agree with that.
So I had, not to jump away from this, but I had one suggestion. There isn't really anything in this newsletter about signing up to get email notifications from the city about public works related issues. And it's a small, I read through and I didn't see it. So if somebody read it and saw that, please let me know where, because I didn't.
You know, we talked about at the spring one, adding the link to the reporting a problem website where you can report roadkill and potholes and stuff like that. I did not then again, I did not double check that those in this one.
It is not.
Oh,
Yeah, the word sign is not showing up past page 27.
And the link to the self-report. Is there, is there a report? Can you search for a report?
Adopt a storm drain. That's it.
yeah.
Yeah, that was actually one of the other things I wanted to bring up was we should probably have a link to the reporter problem in here, and a recommendation for how to contact and sign up for city emails about public works issues. Presumably the people who are finding this on the website are interested in public works related issues. And it would be a good way for us to maybe passively build out the reach of our committee and communicating with people in the city.
Eric, doesn't it go out to everyone who's on the information list anyway for public works?
It goes out to the Public Works distribution list.
Yeah, which is anyone who signed up for that information.
If they were to
It's
pass
also-
it on to a neighbor,
And it's
They
also
forward
on
it
the
on.
website.
Yeah, and it gets posted, so you can stumble across it on the website without
Sure.
being on the notified list for Public Works.
So if you sign up for email updates on notices and Public Works Committee agendas and minutes, you will get the newsletter.
Yes.
So that might be something to add to the website to indicate, sign up for email updates in our spring and fall newsletter. Because I was gonna ask you how, but I send my newsletter out on the 1st, and I will point people to this link and suggest that they sign up. I can email that suggestion.
Yeah, I think, Charles, you were talking about inserting something in the newsletter perhaps?
Yeah, in the newsletter for,
That said, sign up for notifications, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah.
and the report a problem link.
And and just have those be 2 housekeeping items at the top of it. And then people can scroll down and see the schedules after they've read past how to report problems and sign up.
And Lisa, you're suggesting putting
And-
another note
On
on
the-
the website.
On the website where, because it says sign up for email updates, but it doesn't make it clear that this newsletter is gonna come out too.
Okay,
We should have thought to invite Brent to the meeting.
Oh, yeah. And I will say, I'm really impressed with the texting service. I don't know if anyone gets the texts for Public Works Committee stuff. It's always very good.
I now have another text to sign up for, I think. Yeah, that's great. Where is the text sign up service?
Question. You know what? I think I logged into the whole system and then selected which committees I wanted to get information on. And then you had the option, I think, for each one of saying I want text or I want email or both.
Do all of them have that or just a few of them? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think when I signed up, it was years ago. so
Yeah, me too.
I need to revisit that.
All right, so do we want to make a motion suggesting those edits and declining to include the EV information?
I will support a motion like that. I did have one other question, and that is about the new processing fee, or I'm sorry, the new payment system. It's at the very end of the newsletter. The new payment system.
for the utility,
Yep, it says for debit or credit cards, there's a 3.5% processing fee. Do you know, is there one for EFT from your bank account?
I don't know, Lisa.
Because
I'm gonna say,
in the old system, I don't think we ever had to pay a fee. And so when I saw this right away, I was like, oh, but I'm not using a debit card. So I don't know if that still applies, but if I had the question, I'm thinking other question
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's that brand new system that just went into effect.
Yep.
So,
well, I can
And I was just
add
lucky.
the answer, which I think is no, there's no fee for an ACH. But
Okay.
regardless, add it to this last paragraph.
Yeah. Whether or not there's a fee. I was lucky I had a PDF of a water utility bill because you can't get into the old system. I just happened to find one from a couple years ago. I was like, whew.
Well, when the rates were much lower,
I didn't get that done.
we didn't have the stormwater surcharge.
No, that is on there.
Yeah.
Cause I,
Okay, so the motion is to make Alder Hanaira's recommended edits for plain language, to add in the how to sign up for email and text notifications from Public Works, and how to use the report a problem link on the website. And to
where and which way to put brush?
where and which way to put brush.
That was part of the plain language, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And to add a sentence clarifying ACH payments on the express bill pay.
Are EFT and ACH the same?
Don't know.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, well, in that
Exactly.
case, EFT and ACH. We'll want to clarify. And there's one more thing.
The
Not
EV,
to
not to
include
include the EV.
Not to include the EV. All right. So that's the motion. I think you
I move what
Yeah.
Charles just said.
and
I'll second.
all
Go
right,
ahead.
we have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries 5-0. We have reached the end of our notice agenda. The meeting is adjourned.
Brent, oh, sorry.